when the Russians took Brittney Griner, she actually, when she came to the end of her trial, said, look, I'd like to admit guilt and go from there. So she said, Your Honor, to the Russian judge, I'm going to take responsibility for what I did. I brought some expended cannabis cartridges into the country, and I want to take responsibility for that. There was no intent. I'd forgotten that they were there. They're for medicinal reasons, but that doesn't matter. Despite the fact I forgot they were there and they were empty, I know I violated your law and I want to take responsibility. So you could say, as you pointed out, she's guilty of the crime. However, the Levinson Act gives us a little more leeway. The Levinson Act says if another country is specifically using an American for diplomatic leverage or leverage of some sort, that changes the calculus. If the sentence seems like it's super high based on the fact that they're probably an American, that adds another factor on the Levinson Act that leans us towards maybe a wrongful detention. In Brittney Griner's case, not only did she get sentenced as if she was a major drug dealer, someone who's bringing like kilo after kilo after kilo, she was sentenced as if she was like a drug mobster, right? Instead of what she probably should have got, which I would say based on Russian law is, okay, thank you very much, you can go, or here's a fine of 10,000 rubles, or maybe 2 weeks in the clink. Instead, she was sentenced as if she was a major narco trafficker. Ding! Secondly, the Russians pretty much winked at us. And I don't want to describe how they did it, but you can I'll say metaphorically or by analogy, they winked, nodded, and said, oh, by the way, we just got this basketball player and we are going to squeeze you, United States of America. And that hit another Levinson thing. That person, that American, is being used for diplomatic leverage. Ding! And so Brittney Griner goes from someone who you could say is guilty and instead starts popping into the wrongful detention thing. So you don't necessarily have to be fully innocent. You can be guilty of a crime, but if you still went through a jacked up legal process, if you were tortured, if you were given a 100-year sentence for something where you should have got 100 days, you now start moving into wrongful detention territory. And we had numerous cases where in that ambiguity, the Secretary of State was still able to say, look, I got it. They were guilty, or I got it. This, that, or the other. But the Levinson Act gave him a basis of evaluation, and that was helpful.